Hi guys, it's Tammy with Cheers to Creativity, and I actually thought I started the video and I didn't, but I hadn't gotten far. I'm going to paint a fall side of a porch leaner, and I wasn't quite sure what to do, and I'm still not, but we're going to figure it out together. And of course, if it turns out awesome and great, I can find a way to get you a pattern for it. I'm just starting off by placing my bottom pumpkin. I'm going to make more of an orangish pumpkin. It seems really odd to be painting fall when it's as warm as it is out, but that's what happens. It's the next season. And the backside of this porch leaner already has a bicycle on it, so I definitely want it to be a different season so the porch leaner can be used more than once. So I base coated this with a bright orange, and I'm going and shading on the outside of my sections with a darker color, burnt orange. And I am, again, working on barn wood, so certainly not perfect wood. I like that. Not everybody does. Still want to see that orange through there. I think I'm going to put a white pumpkin on top of this one. What are you guys working on today? Painting? Enjoying the weather? If you live near me, not so much. It just doesn't seem to know what it wants to do. It's not supposed to be raining, but when I was upstairs a few minutes ago, it was definitely raining. I'm going to pick up a lighter orange and highlight my pumpkin. Ooh, that might be too light. We'll see. I'm working kind of wet on wet, meaning my base coat is not dry, so it kind of blends in. And I don't have an iPad with me or anything, so if you pop on, say hi, and know I will come back and look at comments later. As always, we totally appreciate that you are watching us. Last week I was not very active on Facebook. We were getting ready for a little vacation, and I think I had other things on my brain. So I'll try to make up for it a bit this week. I'm not going to worry about that stem because I'm going to rinse my brush. Water somewhere. And I'm going to do a lighter color pumpkin. Sorry, shaking the camera. Trying to get my brush a little cleaner. I'm going to start with some buttermilk. And I'm going to put a pumpkin on top. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to leave room for a saying up here. That's why the stencil's up there. I'm not sure, but I'm just trying not to completely fill that in. Let's start with our center. I like to think of pumpkins as like almonds. Like there's an almond in the middle, and begin with. Geez, Tammy. And then you have just little segments of them coming out. I love doing white pumpkins on barn wood because I get to use the natural wood for part of my shading. Make sure this pumpkin is sitting on top of the orange one. And I very often have to come back and play with the shape a little bit. I have a very fondness for white pumpkins in the fall. I don't know what it is. And they're really not pumpkins at that point. They're more or less gourds, but you guys all understand what I mean. All right, so I'm going to shade him with a little bit of brown. This is burnt umber. Shade a little bit next to that center. Give it another segment here. And again, I'm kind of working wet on wet, so I'm able to use my base color to do a little bit of the blending. Maybe we need one more segment. I think we're gonna need one more segment, so I'm gonna put the brown down. Pretty skinny. Okay, now I'm going to come in with white and highlight the outer edges of them. I haven't cleaned my brush, so my brush is really dirty. Trying to keep my hair out of the way today. Seems to be the biggest problem I've had as of late. I think my plan was to be painting red, white, and blue this week, but as my husband likes to remind me, nothing sells sitting in my studio. And so if I can get this finished and get this into one of the shops, all the better. And maybe somebody else can find it and love it and call it theirs. So what I'm doing is highlighting the outer edge of my segments. This shade line here, I'm highlighting this one and kind of walking them in toward the center. And it's very possible and probable that as I paint the rest of this, these colors are going to fade a bit and I might need to come back and add more to them. But right now it kind of looks like there's a white something sitting on an orange something. It's a start. I'm going to go ahead and put a stem in this one. I'm going to use dark Hauser green and probably pick up a little bit of the brown. Come on. See if I can peek real quick. Hello, people. Hello, Cindy. Hello, Francis. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of dark Hauser green. My stem starts inside my pumpkin. Picking up a little bit of that light color too. I picked up a little bit of brown. I don't have nearly enough green out there. Oh, goodness gracious. I think we have an issue with our green. So we will just pour a little out. We will just pour a little out. Wow, I need to clean that up greatly. Okay, so I've got a little bit of brown, a little bit of green, and I'm just going to coming up here, give myself an idea of a wandering stem. Let me get my sunflowers on. I might decide if it needs to wander a little more. All right, beginning, rinsing my brush. Trying to see, can we see down here? Might need to push up a touch further. Okay. I'm going to put a sunflower here. I want to have several of them, but I'll go ahead and start with the brown, and I'll kind of make this one off the edge. Hoping you guys can see that. Right about there. Okay. So I'm just filling it in with a little brown. I've started getting a couple sunflowers to, we love fresh flowers at our house. And I'm noticing that I'm making my sunflower petals probably too big. But again, there are no wrong in painting, only design changes. So we might just design change these a little differently. All right, where else do I want a sunflower? Let's have one coming out. I could use chalk to kind of draw this. That might make some sense. But we'll make it look like he's about here. And maybe one almost in the middle here. We can add more. All right, so I'm going to start with cadmium yellow. Cadmium yellow, where are you? Cadmium yellow. And my sunflower petals start next to my center, go out, come back in. Again, it's kind of like that almond shape that I said I did to create the segments of my pumpkin. Now my orange is probably not dry. I should probably hit it with a blow dryer. What fun is that? I'll come back in and add other petals. This is just my starter petals. Let those be for a second. I'm going to come up here. And this one I'm just going to have being a little smaller. So I'm not going to get super long with this one. Definitely picked up some green, that's okay. And let's go this way. I think we'll go a couple down this way. There's gonna be a lot more petals on them. This is just my first coat. So these will start here. If you can, it's always best to let my brown middle dry, so I'm not pulling brown up into my petals. But that's okay. I'll use a little brown to shade with them anyhow. Other thing I really noticed looking at real sunflowers is as they come closer to the center, the petals get smaller and tighter. I have a few chalk lines on here because I thought I was doing one thing and I changed my mind. All right, almost done with the first bit of petals for our sunflowers. More here. One, they definitely need a little more coverage of paint, but they're also going to need more petals. And that's okay. So I think what I'll do is come back to the bottom sunflower, the one down here. Love this stem. Thanks, Cindy. I'm just trying to catch a couple quick comments as I have to lean down. Those are not dry yet. It's okay. I think I'm going to go in with just a lighter yellow. This is lemon yellow. Yellows by nature are very transparent. So sometimes when you want a real yellow color, it's best if you go and base coat it first with either a deeper shade or white. I know those are two opposite things, but it kind of works. So I've got a little lighter yellow in there. I think I'm going to do the same up in here. Even if it's blending a bit with my colors from the center and my first petals, it all plays nice together. Working on barnwood often, I've learned that I really don't need to be as picky as I am, say, when I'm working on canvas or real smooth surfaces. I like the character of the wood coming through. Do you like the other yellow that I've added? It already makes them look quite different. This is all just coming from the top of my head as I'm doing this. But if when we get finished with it, it's something you think you would like a tracer for, why don't you just put sunflower in the comments and I will make a tracer and get it up. Obviously I don't have a tracer, I'd be using it. So you have to give me a little grace, a little patience. But I can get one uploaded and get one your way. And again, if you happen to just be popping on, I do not have something that I see comments with, so you see me popping on every once in a while to look, and I will certainly look when I am done painting to see what you all had to say. Oops, I think I dipped in the wrong color. That's okay. All I'm really trying to accomplish with doing this lighter yellow is just so you can see the variances in the petals. And I could have done either color first. I am going to pick up a little bit of the darker yellow, that cad yellow, and I'm just going to bring a couple little petals into my sunflower. Definitely there. I do it up here too. All right, I'll fill those in a bit as well. I'm going to make sure I don't forget to put a stem on this guy. So I'm just going to pull my green down off the edge just to, and that one's already connected to something. That one's connected to something. We're good. Okay, I'm going to come back in. This guy bothers me. I think we need to pretend he had a stem. So I'm going to go back to that Hauser green and picking up a touch of the brown, and I'm just going to make it look like he has curlicues coming from there. And curlicues can come off of curlicues. Oops, a little white, doesn't matter. Just give him a little interest. Let's lay in a leaf up here. Let's have it tucking up from here. A little pointy leaf. I think I might want to fill that in with Hauser Green medium or light first. Try the medium. Kind of carefully working around my petals or tucking them in around my petals. Sunflower leaves are quite jagged on the edges. It's really good for me because that's the way most of my leaves come out anyhow. I've got a little bit of the dark green now. I'm just putting on the edges, tucking it in next to the flower. And then we'll have a leaf that comes down off of this guy. Acrylic paint dries relatively quickly, so it's always nice to just kind of bounce around a little bit, because by the time I'm done messing with these first bits of these leaves, I'll be able to go back and add a little more to my sunflowers. And even if I do put my words up there, I think another leaf coming out there is going to make me happy. These are what I like to call leaf shapes, not necessarily the exact leaf that you're going to find on a sunflower. Picking up a little of the dark, working a little dark next to my flower, and I'll pull the darker on the edge. Running out of paint on my brush. I'm pulling some darker green up in the middle, kind of as a vein, and then some vein lines off of it. Again, I'm working on barnwood, so I'm not as concerned about super tight details. As I'm doing these lines, I'm doing them with my flat brush, kind of on the chisel edge. All right, so got that going for us. Cute, cute. Thank you. Hello, Mary. And let's see, what else can we do? We're gonna add a couple more petals into these the little ones we did. I'm gonna start by just using the lighter yellow and going between. Okay. Before I finish those petals, I'm gonna go back with our brown, and I'm going to kind of pounce that center so it's a little fluffier. Need a brush. So it's a burnt umber. I'm just being a little fluffier where it meets the petals more on the top. To give a little difference in color in the sunflower itself, dirty brush, picking up a little bit of yellow, tapping it on my plate, going in about, I don't know, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. All right. All right, I want to come back in and add smaller petals in between there, just going to fill it in. And I got to decide if I just want to go back with the same yellow I'm looking. It's a brighter yellow, that's saffron yellow. This is yellow ochre, or I could use golden straw, antique gold. Let's try golden straw. If we don't like it, we paint over it, right? So this color, if you can see the yellows on my plate, this is cad, this is the lemon, and that's the straw. So they all work with each other, but they're just different values and slightly different shades. So I'm cleaning out my smaller brush here. And I'm going to come in, let's see if this is going to show up. I'm not sure I like that. Let's try this one. I think I like that better. That looks pretty dull to me. So this ended up spitting out saffron yellow. So I'm just going to go back over this one. I think we see that better. These almost look like they have enough, but I'm still going to go in and fill in just because I can. And yes, I just dropped yellow paint where I did not want it. Q-tip to the rescue. Blended in with the green. Never know it was there. Put one here. Put one here. Put one here. It doesn't have to be in between each and every one, but I just think it helps give another bit of color by making them a little shorter. Helps mimic what I've been seeing in my real sunflowers. Maybe just a touch here and there for these. Kind of liking it. How about you? Hello, Lori, and who else is on here? Barbara. Like I said, really hard for me to see, but I do appreciate that you guys have popped by to see what we're up to. Would love to know what you're working on these days. Are you still working on summer? Have you already started working on fall? I think that is the hardest part for me, that we have spaces in retail locations that they're already looking for fall, and I kind of want to just enjoy summer. All right, I think that's enough of those. I'm going to come in with just a very, very little bit of, on the chisel edge of my brush, with a little tiny bit of the brown. I'm going to pull a little bit of veins up in some of these, not all of them. And then I'm going to come back and really highlight some of these leaves too. Leaves, petals. Okay, I know what they are. They're petals. I know how to paint. I'm just kind of using the chisel of my brush to do this. I'm going to rinse that. I'm going to go back and pick up a little bit of white. And not everywhere at all, but just every once in a while on a couple of the petals, blend a little white in. White. I'm just hitting tips of a couple of them. So I'm going to ask a question and see if I can get a little response. I'll come back and look at it in just a second. Should I leave it just as it is and leave this little bit of space up here blank? Or should I do something like grateful, thankful, blessed? Should I go get the big letters and just go thankful all the way down? What do you think? What do you think would look good with our pumpkin and sunflowers? Just got a couple little things to finish up. I want there to be just a little bit of wiggly vines, we're going to call them. So a few more like those. So I'm picking up my greens and like right around here. Actually attached to something. I may even have some coming out of my sunflowers. It's a little dark probably in here. All right, I'm gonna flip this up. Hi guys. So who thinks I should put on the stencil? Stencil? Yes? No? Maybe so? Should we just let it be? No, in the meantime, I'm going to take just the tip of my brush and any of the yellows. It doesn't matter which yellow. And I'm going to use the tip of my brush and I'm going to put a couple little dots inside the sunflowers. Oops. Adds to it. All right, have anybody? So if you're interested in a tracer, I can create one for you, and I would probably have it to you tonight or tomorrow. Just put sunflower in it, and I will be glad to do that. And I've got to decide if I'm going to put the stencil on or not. This is the other side of this porch leaner. It says Home Sweet Home and has the bicycle. And then you just watched me do the sunflowers and pumpkins. And I will look back and see if anybody had any commentary about the stencil. And until I see you again, please be safe and be kind. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.